It's a really old city.
It's just one of those beautiful, classic Los Angeles landmarks. It's an amazing place to see a show and to be on stage.
The theater was built in 1926. It was at the tail end of the construction in Los Angeles and the heavy building. At one point, there were probably close to 20 theaters here on Broadway in 7 blocks. It was the first theater having air conditioning. It's the only theater here on Broadway that has an elevator servicing the dressing rooms. It ran as a vaudeville house through the mid-50s. When this was built, though, it's still with the foresight of seeing talkies were coming in, silent movies. The future was brought in, and eventually film took over the venue. This is where Frankenstein opened, Dracula opened. Back in those days, they actually had a registered nurse on duty because of the fears of people passing out. My parents purchased this property in 1971, so I invested into this area in 2001 to bring this theater back to life. So this is still today the only theater here on Broadway that's been truly brought back to production. Sound, lights, all of those things were brought up to current production standards. Acoustically, there was so little to do because back in '26 we didn't have mics. Acoustically, this house really does a magnificent job. It had some very unique features, such as the golden copperly ceiling that's still absolutely magnificent today. The white marble that is throughout is called bookmark marble. And when I took it over in 2001 and brought it back, all the marble was yellow from the smoke of the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s. There's stained glass windows in the roof of the main auditorium, the main orchestra level. All the light fixtures and everything in the venue are all original. For the older generation that attended here when they were kids, they're now in their 70s and 80s and they walk in here and they tear up. And the other part is for the younger generation to walk in here and experience what life was like back in the 20s and to see what was able to be done back then, because you really cannot replicate what is done inside this theater today.
It felt familiar in a really cool way. This is the kind of place that I hope I get to play for the rest of my life.
And the gift of my heartbeat sounds like a symphony played by a cemetery in the center of Queens.